be upon us all, and all God's children in the world, now and forevermore. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend, for those inspiring words and prayer. As we continue, it is my distinct pleasure to invite the Honorable Prime Minister of Samoa, Lawa Fionga Fiame Naomi Mataafa, to deliver your opening remarks. Afio mai Lawa Fionga Molo Saunanga Autu.
Excellencies and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, Talo Falava and warm greetings to you all. It is with great pleasure that I welcome each and every one of you to the 13th Commonwealth Business Forum. Making the midpoint of this important and busy week in Apia, this forum presents a critical platform to reflect on our potential as the Commonwealth Ainga to truly transform our Commonwealth for one resilient common future. At the outset, I wish to acknowledge with sincere appreciation the invaluable partnership and support from Lord Marlon and the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, the Samoa Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Samoa Business Hub as local counterparts to CWIC, the Bank South Pacific as anchor partner of the forum, and our supporters, Federal Pacific Group, Swire Shipping, and Tower Insurance, as well as our contributors, the Cameroon Investment Promotion Agency, and Trade and Investment Queensland. Excellencies, this Commonwealth Business Forum also marks its first meeting held in the Pacific Island region and in a small developing state. This would no doubt be a unique experience for some of you, but for the majority of us in this room, the lived realities of small island states are all too familiar as we continue to bear the brunt of our world's most urgent and multi-dimensional challenges to our environment, to health, and to our economies. Here in our blue Pacific continent, we have staunchly declared climate change as the single greatest threat to the security and well-being of our people. However, we remain proud guardians of the largest ocean in the world, with the ocean making up 96% of the region. Our oceans, our lands and ecosystems form an abundance of natural wealth for our Commonwealth family. Our human capital wealth, reflecting the wealth of skills, talent, and ingenuity of our 2.5 billion people, 60% of whom are under the age of 30, and representing a third of the world's population. As the Commonwealth, we are in a unique position to unleash the benefits of trade and investment for our people. Tailored solutions, strategic financing, and strengthened collaboration between the public and private sector are required to respond to the varying degrees of economic development and challenges across our Commonwealth family. So I am very pleased to see here today an excellent program that brings together business leaders from across the globe, big and small, developed and emerging, to share and showcase Commonwealth excellence and best practice tried and tested solutions from whence to advance our shared resilience. This is the very goal of our CHOGM theme, which is focused on solutions to transform our economies for the benefit of our Commonwealth people. Our challenge is to bring the theme to life, including through this business forum and its priority themes of green financing and innovation, the blue economy, human capital, and maximizing the returns, access to finance, and the scalability of finance. For Samoa, a contextualized approach is key. Like many small island states, Samoa is subject to economic and environmental volatility. Our economic development opportunities are constrained by inherent challenges, including distance from major centers of economic activity, narrow resource bases, a small domestic market, as well as high frequency and intensity of climate-induced natural disasters. It is my hope that your discussions today and tomorrow will draw out transformative solutions that fit our respective contexts, particularly for small island developing economies. Despite our challenges to trade and investment, I believe the Commonwealth still holds so much potential, with Commonwealth GDP standing at 14.2 trillion and predicted to rise to 20 trillion by 2029. Further, it is cheaper and therefore easier to do business between Commonwealth countries due to shared language, small business and similar business and legal practice and history. It is also reported that Commonwealth members trade at 20% more with each other than non-members. Countries in the Pacific, the question is, how can we begin to facilitate inter-Commonwealth trade? Diversification remains key to building more resilient economies and a resilient private sector, especially to respond to global shocks. We must also advance efforts to invest in affordable digital technologies and explore green transformation by capitalizing on circular economy opportunities, promoting sustainability, and using renewable energy. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, we are finally here, and I implore you to work together to achieve our shared goal and vision as a Commonwealth family, to improve the lives of our citizens through successful and resilient intra-Commonwealth trade and investment opportunities. Once again, welcome to Samoa. Whaftai.
Whaftaitele, and thank you, Loa Fionga, for those encouraging remarks. Now, I have the privilege of inviting Your Lordship, Lord Marland, to share his remarks with us.
Talofa aso fia fia. And for those that don't speak Samoan as well as I do, that is hello and happy days. What happy days these are, Prime Minister, to be here in Samoa. I nearly didn't make it to the stage today because I nearly had a heart attack yesterday with my Deputy Chairman as we climbed to see the grave of Robert Louis Stevenson, which is 840 metres vertical climb in 38 degrees. about three-quarters of the way up, I thought to myself, actually, I don't want to see the grave of Robert Louis Stevenson because I'll be in my own grave myself. And in fact, it reminded me slightly of when I went to stay with the King, if you don't mind me dropping a name, where I said to him as we were climbing for the third time up a mountain that I needed a car to take me up. And he said to me, well, if you need a car, we won't walk up a mountain ever again. I said, well, it'll be pointless because I'll die of a heart attack if I don't have a car. So I'm not very good at climbing hills, but nevertheless, we made it. And one is struck by the importance for a Brit of Robert Stevenson. He wrote 3 of the best 25 selling books of all time. They were, of course, Kidnapped, Jekyll and Hyde, and Treasure Island. Having written those very successful books, he decided to come and find his own Treasure Island and moved here to Samoa for the last 4 years of his life. And sadly, he died, leaving a most wonderful home. And indeed, God knows how they got his body up to the top, because that must have been a real struggle. But they did, and they buried him at the top of this mountain. Prime Minister, this is a treasured island, and we are so lucky to be here and enjoy the warm hospitality that Samoans have shown us since we've been here. And anyone who had any doubts about travelling all these miles to get here in not a very eco-friendly way, I happen to say, but really have appreciated the warmth and hospitality that you promised me when we had dinner together in the United Kingdom. And I would say, Prime Minister, that a lot of people in this room are overdressed, and they haven't heeded the words that you said about coming here and dressing like Samoans. Look, over 250 people with a waiting list of 50 have travelled the world to come to this forum. This shows me that the Commonwealth is well and truly alive. It shows me that people want to trade. It shows me that people want to do business and meet with fellow business people and ministers and government officials from across the Commonwealth. And it is fair to say that the ship that those people came here really to have a cruise that you're staying on, aptly named Bring Us All Together, I think by tonight it'll have a new meaning of Bring Us All Together, given some of the stories I've heard already. But what an apt phrase for the Commonwealth, bring us all together. And there you are on a boat having that opportunity. It's fitting that the Commonwealth has come here. This is a unique place with unique problems, which reflect many of the Commonwealth countries. And so here we'll be able to understand firsthand the issues that surround the 25, 30 island states that make up part of the Commonwealth. And it is in these forums that we will create the opportunity, and the 2 great opportunities, one of which you've alluded to earlier, the opportunity for solving the climate issues that confront every nation at the moment, and also creating the opportunity for the 60% of the population of the Commonwealth who are under 30 years old. Imagine that as a figure, finding work and jobs for those people, let alone Africa, where 70% of the population are under 30 years old. Those are the 2 critical areas that we need to confront as a Commonwealth of Nations. Those are the 2 critical areas as businesses we need to create opportunities for. And that is our responsibility for those of us in this room. There are now lots of pressures on old and existing relationships. We read in the papers today that Putin, a man who has launched an attack on a neighbouring country, waged war on a legal war on a neighbouring country, is hosting the BRICS in Russia. hard to believe that 2 Commonwealth nation countries are there and that 1 or 2 others want to join it. They are competition. Hard to understand how China, who have taken the opportunity of many Commonwealth nations being asleep on their watch, of reaching out through their Belt and Road and having much more significant investment in place in many Commonwealth countries. So it's time, a bit belatedly, for Commonwealth countries to rise up and recognise that the alliance of Commonwealth countries through business and trade is a very strong bond, and that to utilise it. And so I would say, Prime Minister, and I hope that this becomes part of your initiative, that we need to formalise certain parts of the Commonwealth, prevent it from being a continuing talking shop, but to be a place of action. And why not start with a Commonwealth trade deal? Why not? Show generosity to other nations by having free and open trade. Show generosity and friendship to other nations by having free and open trade. So I hope, Prime Minister, that under your great leadership, that the Commonwealth does everything it can to promote that as an issue. It is now important that we, as people gathered in this room, commit our support to Samoa as a country. We want Samoa not only to triumph as chair in office of the Commonwealth for the next 2 years, but we also want Samoa to triumph as a nation economically, and that is our task. So to you, Prime Minister, we will commit all we can to help you deliver that and take this treasured island into being a great country. Onwards, Samoa.
Thank you, Lord Marland, for those encouraging and very kind words. Lord Marland and Prime Minister, I invite you to take your seat in the audience while we welcome our performance. Ladies and gentlemen, next on our program, I'd like to take a moment to invite our wonderful youth group from Vayala to the stage. They have prepared a brief performance for us that I'm sure you will all enjoy. Please join me in welcoming them. Thank you, Vayala, for that wonderful performance. Thank you, everyone, for your attention during our opening ceremony. Your presence and support truly made this event special. Let's look forward to the exciting activities ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, please can I ask you to stay in your seats while our chief guests depart and we prepare for the next section. I would like to call Mr. Hank Rogers to make his address. Hank is the founder of Blue Planet Alliance, a visionary organization with a mission to get islands and countries around the world to mandate a commitment to 100% renewable energy by 2045. We are delighted that Hank is able to join us today. Thank you.
Do I actually need to wear this? So I'm really pleased to hear from the Prime Minister's remarks that climate change is at the forefront of this gathering, as it should be. So I don't have to talk about that because you already know all the bad news. This is not my first time to Samoa, actually. It's my second time. The first time was 10 years ago. I came here with a Polynesian voyaging canoe called Hokulea. How many of you were here? Recreation of the greatest voyage of mankind, which is the voyage of the discovery of all of the islands in Polynesia, done with canoes, done with celestial navigation. So who am I? How many of you have played a game called Tetris? Okay, I'm going to have to apologize for that. So, yes, my background is computer games. I live in Hawaii. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I live in Hawaii. And, gosh, it's now almost 20 years ago. I had a near-death experience. Lord Marlon talked about having a heart attack. I had one. My malady was the 100% blockage of the widowmaker. 95% of the people who have that happen to them die. I'm lucky 5%. In the ambulance on the way to the hospital, I had just sold my company a month before. And I said, I don't know who I was talking to, but I said, "You've got to be kidding me. I haven't spent any of the money yet." I'm sure all you business guys can relate to that. If you sell your company, you like to at least, go on a vacation or something. But the second thing I said, no, I'm not going. I still have stuff to do. And in the recovery room, I have 2 stents. The doctor says, don't change anything. Don't change your diet. Don't change your exercise. You're fine. It's not genetic. It's not endemic. It's just an accident. Okay, fine. That was 19 years ago, and I'm still here, so he must have been right. But in the recovery room, I started thinking, so what do I mean, or what did I mean by stuff? I'd already sold my company and made enough money so my wife didn't need me anymore. My children had already graduated from university, so they didn't need me anymore. I kind of did the stuff that I was thinking I had to do when I was younger. I'd already done all that. And so then I started thinking, what is it that's going to upset me if I don't do something about it by the end of my life? And so I started working on my bucket list. I worked on finding my missions in life. And I thought, okay, I'm going to need 4 missions because I have 4 children, and each of my children are going to take over on one of my missions. By the way, that is so not happening. There is no way, I'll be lucky if one of them has something to do with something. But anyway, mission number 1 came to me, and this is in the hospital in Hawaii. It's in the back of the newspaper. And it said, it's sort of a by the way article. By the way, we are going to kill all the coral in the world by the end of this century. That was the article. Now, I moved to Hawaii the first time when I was 18. I moved from New York City to Hawaii And you know what? And I lived on the beach for a year. What boy of 18 doesn't fall in love with the ocean? I was surfing and diving every day. And coral is a central part of the ocean. And so what's causing the end of coral? And I'm reading the article, and it says it's ocean acidification caused by carbon dioxide caused by us. So mission number 1, end the use of carbon-based fuel. It's fairly obvious. So I'm living in Hawaii at the time, and so where is the fossil fuel coming from in Hawaii, and where is it going? Well, first of all, I believe that before I can ask other people to clean their room, I have to clean my room. And my room at the time, my room still is Hawaii, so I have to clean Hawaii before I ask other people to do it in their territory. Where is the fossil fuel going? Where is the carbon dioxide going? $5 billion a year of oil. That's 1.5 million people importing $5 billion a year of oil and $1 billion of coal. Now, of the oil, we have refineries, so 30% goes to make jet fuel. That's $1.5 billion. And then 30% goes to ground transportation, that's gasoline and diesel, another $1.5 billion. And the leftover, $2 billion of oil, crude oil, gets burned for electricity. And $1 billion, or 100% of the coal, gets burned for electricity. $3 billion of fossil. So that's the biggest one. So I decided that let's go for the biggest one first. Because once we show people that we can do the biggest one, the second one is going to be easier, and the third one is going to be easier. The biggest one is energy. And islands, we island people, we understand, we import fossil fuel to make energy. And Hawaii at the time is I would say, the mecca of renewable energy. We are the southernmost state of any state in the United States, so we have the best solar. We have trade winds, and I'm sure many of you understand what trade winds are all about. 95% of the time, strong wind blows from the same direction. And we have geothermal. We have volcanoes. Our island chain in Hawaii is made out of volcanoes. And I started thinking, how am I going to go about changing the way of the utility and the people? Because I went and talked to the utility and said, we don't know how to make electricity out of wind and solar. They go on and off. You know, we make electricity by burning oil or coal. That's how we do it. Our job is to make energy. Full stop. If the lights go off, people will say, what happened? What's wrong with you? We will be blamed. So they have no reason to change in fact, their business model was they would make 10% on the price of oil. What a terrible business model that was. So we thought, okay, we need to put Hawaii on track. And the politicians wouldn't listen to us. Even the people wouldn't listen to us. So we decided we're going to go through the children, because actually the children, it's the future of the children that we are destroying with climate change. So they're the ones who have the most to lose. So we got elementary school children to go door to door and exchange 300,000 light bulbs. In so doing, they have a conversation between a child and an adult saying, this is going to save you money, and it's going to help save my future from climate change. And then we had junior high school students draw on sidewalks with chalk where high tide would be in a 1 meter rise in sea level. 1 meter rise in sea level is the minimum predicted by the IPCC. It's because warm water takes up more space than cold water does. In addition to all of that, we're melting Greenland, and we are worried about Antarctica. You know, the highest sea level has ever been is 30 meters higher than it is today. If we melt all of the ice in in Greenland and Antarctica, we're talking about 30-meter rise in sea level. Just think about that for a moment. I believe that the rise of civilization is largely due to the fact that sea level has been steady at or something near where we are today for a long time, for 10,000 years. If we have even a 3-meter rise in sea level, we are moving New York, Tokyo, Paris, London, all of these places are within a couple of meters of sea level. It's going to be much cheaper to fix climate change than to move all of those cities. Much cheaper. Please think about that a little bit. Our claim to fame is that in 2015, we were the first state in the country to pass a mandate of 100% renewable energy. We asked for 2040, the politicians were ready to give us 2050, and we negotiated and settled for 2045. But it turns out, my son points out to me, 2045 is a great date to fix climate change. Why? It's the 100th anniversary of the United Nations. That's all of us. Now, the United Nations, we have the IPCC, which is telling us the truth, which is a great effort, and it's a great way to find out what's actually going on. And then there's the COP system, the Conference of Parties. We get together every year and we decide how are we going to fix things. And in our moment of glory, we passed the Paris Agreement. Unfortunately, the Paris Agreement doesn't go far enough, and no one is even on track for that. So I come to the conclusion that the top-down approach is not working. It didn't work it hasn't worked anywhere, actually. We have to change. This has to be a bottom-up approach, starting with the children, continuing with the adults, moving up to the politicians. And then basically, the problem is also the target of the Paris Agreement, 1.5 degrees or 2.0 degrees. That's not something that people can understand. How can I affect 1.5 degrees or 2.0 degrees? And some of us are even on Fahrenheit, not even Celsius, so that 1.5 degrees is much smaller in the case of people who think in Fahrenheit. So I believe, first of all, if there's no deadline, nothing happens. If I ask somebody to make me the Sheraton Hotel, and they tell me, well, we're going to get it done someday, and we're not exactly sure how much it's going to cost, I'm going to find another company. We are business people. We do things when we make a deal. The deal is you do something for me, I pay you this much. If you're on time, you get paid. If you're late, you pay me. If you're early, maybe I give you a bonus. That's the way the real business world works. So we need to have a real deadline and a real target. And a real deadline is 2045. It's far enough into the future so that we can all accomplish it. And it's not so far in the future that, how can I say, that it's not in time. Well, better late than never is what I'm thinking in this case. So we put Hawaii on track. Then we changed the business model of the utility so they make more money by switching to renewables. Now, they pay 25 cents per kilowatt hour for oil. And I'm sure those of you who import diesel are paying more. And as a result, we island people are paying the most for electricity of any people in the world. We're the least responsible, we are suffering the most, and we are paying the most. What does that mean? It means we have to take the leadership. We have to go first and say, no, we're not doing this anymore. So we changed the business model of the utility. Their cost of wind and solar in Hawaii is 8 cents per kilowatt hour. If you add batteries, it's up to 12 cents. That's half the cost. And the old business model, 10% on the price of oil, 2.5 cents. Okay, you can make 3 cents. Guess who's our best friend now? The utility, which is the biggest company in Hawaii, went from being our worst enemy, fighting us in the legislature, saying, no, we can't do this, to, of course we are doing this. Today, the people of Hawaii, including all the business people, they went from, it's impossible for us to go move away from fossil fuel to, of course we are doing this. This is what we need to do in the world. We must all come to the conclusion that, of course, we are doing this. Not only because we should and because it's going to make us more money, but because we have to. You know, sometimes I'm faced with people who say, you know what, I'm old. I'm not going to be around when the worst of climate change actually happens, which is already happening now, by the way. And I'm saying, you selfish SOB. What about your children? And what about your grandchildren? Is it really all about you? The answer is no. You have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to the generations of young people coming in the future. They have every right to enjoy the beautiful world that we grew up in. That's our responsibility. So, since we passed the mandate in Hawaii, 15 other states have now got the same legislation, starting with California, which is maybe the 6th biggest economy in the world. California also has a mandate of 100% by 2045. New York, Illinois, over 50% of the states in the U.S. now have a mandate that says they have to go 100% renewable energy by 2040, 2045, 2050. They're, you know, it's a negotiation between the politicians and the utilities and so on. But the problem is, if we're 100% successful in the U.S. is only like 4.3% of the people in the world. And to solve climate change, we have to solve it everywhere. So I started a new organization. I moved to New York to be close to the United Nations. The new organization is called the Blue Planet Alliance. And the Blue Planet Alliance is doing what we did in Hawaii and in the States for the rest of the world, starting with islands. What we do is we bring islands and island countries. Is that me running out of time? We bring 4 people, one from the government, one from the utility, one from the regulatory agency, and one from the community. We pay for them to come to Hawaii. They spend a week with us. We show them what we did in Hawaii, and then we give them the will to do it back in their home country. By the way, if one of those 4 people is not a woman, we don't pay for them. They have to pay themselves. That's our fearless leader, and Amanda Ellis made sure. So anyway, we've so far brought 28 countries to Hawaii. We just finished our 3rd cohort. We bring 10 at a time. We do this every 6 months. Many of the islands that are here today have already been through our program. And we invite anyone who hasn't been to talk to me afterwards, and we will organize for you to come and bring your people to Hawaii to show you what we did and how to put your island on track. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that there is no question about whether we are going to do this or not. We are doing this. This is not a choice that we have to make. We have no choice but to do this. You could say that maybe the planet has declared war on us. We have to fight back. We have to put back everything that we've stolen from nature and fix everything that we've broken. So people ask me, do I have hope? And I answer them, no, I do not have hope. I have determination. We all need to have this determination to end the use of carbon-based fuel, to fix climate change, to get rid of all the plastic in the ocean, all the other things that are going wrong with this planet. We have the ability to fix them. We have the technology. We have the money. All we're lacking is the willpower. And we, who are the leaders of business, the leaders of countries, it is our responsibility to the future, to their children, to our children's children, to fix this. We created the problem. We have to solve it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Hein, for those very inspirational words. Just before we break out into our sessions, we have some housekeeping matters that we need to get out of the way. Now, by now, you all have a copy of the program. The plenary sessions are hosted in this room and open to everyone. The roundtable sessions are by prior invitation only, and the organizers would have been in touch with you in the lead up to this event. We would ask that you come to the session rooms 15 minutes before the start time. Networking breaks, tea and coffee is served in the lobby area, which is where the one-on-one meeting point is also located. We hope that you will take this opportunity to drop by the sponsor stands, which are located in the mezzanine next to the lobby. For the networking lunches, they are held by the pool and in the marquee on the way to the pool. If you have been invited to a VIP lunch or breakfast, these are held in the Aggie Grace fine dining restaurant of the hotel lobby. The evening, the Government of Samoa will host a business forum Fia reception at St. Therese Retreat. Transport will depart from your accommodation, booked on the official portal from 6:30 p.m. On the second day of our program, we will be back here bright and early for a 9 a.m. start. We really hope you enjoy the Commonwealth Business Forum and use it as an opportunity to meet with your peers from across the Commonwealth. Our team is on hand to help you if you need any support. I would now like to call Lord Marland to stage to introduce your panel and take us into the first discussion of the forum. Lord Marland, over to you.
Who's coming up? You coming up? Dino, you're coming up. You coming up?
Pleasure. Same here.
Well, good morning again, and glad you're still awake, but if you were sort of thinking of sleeping a bit now after these brilliant speeches we've had, this will liven you up.